Hey everybody, how's it? Aloha. Okay, why does this song melt your face off? Well, Led Zeppelin, Ramble On. Quickly, how I got to this was because in one of my videos I had said, I just ramble on, like you guys know that I do. And somebody says, hey dude, you ought to check out Zeppelin's Ramble On. So here it is. I thought it was a great idea, and it is absolutely one of my top 3 songs out of all Zeppelin songs. So it's going to be a pleasure to go through this. Being that I already know this song, it's not a first time listen or a reaction, it's a rewind and respond kind of vibe. I am going to stop one time in the middle. We'll go through some of the things that was done in engineering, composition, etc., and then we'll let it play out and then talk a little at the end. If you can imagine that, thank you so much. If any advertisement runs during the playback of this, my channel is not monetized. Copyright claim by the publisher runs the ads. I don't make any money on this channel. Oh, hi, Mr. Sun. How are you? However, if you see fit, you're having a good time with me, if you'd like to buy me a cup of coffee, like I have right here with Mr. Brontosaurus, the link will be below. The link will be below for this song, their discography, their Spotify, and merch and everything. I always support all the bands and the musicians. Hey. All right, here we go. Everybody, Led Zeppelin, Ramble On. All right.
Leaves are falling all around. Time I was on my way. Thanks to you, I'm much obliged for such a pleasant stay. But now it's time for me to go. The autumn moonlight's my way. But now I smell the rain, and with it pain, and it's heading my way. Sometimes I grow so tired, but I know I've got one thing I got to do. I ramble on. Now the time is now. Sing my song. I'm going round the world. I gotta find my girl on my way. Been this way 10 years till the day. Ramble on. I found the queen of all my dreams. Got no time for spreading rumors. The time has come to be gone. And though our health we drank 1,000 times, it's time to ramble on.
All right, this is the one time I'm going to stop because I really want to settle and soak and rinse into the rest of the song. You guys know I'll go back a little bit and we'll move forward. This is a hook monster song, and here's a couple of super cool things about this track that I want to point out. When I say hook monsters, of course the song hook is ramble on. That is the hook of the song as it is written. However, there are a couple of instrumental hooks. You may have heard me talk about this in other songs, how there are instrumental things that happen that also keep you hooked into the song. Well, at the very beginning, of course, with Page's acoustic guitar playing, the chords that he's playing and the strumming pattern is very seductive. And one of the chords that he plays actually pulls on and off from a suspended note. Sooner or later, I'll do something on piano and guitar for you guys. And what it does is it brings you into a place and it resolves. And it's this kind of like very uplifting, seductive kind of playing. Now, another thing about this song that is so compelling to me, and that's because I'm such a huge John Paul Jones fan. Led Zeppelin is Led Zeppelin. 4 of the most talented musicians of the time coming together to form this band. This could not happen without one without the other. However, John Paul Jones' power of arrangement and composition is what puts me over the top in everything. And his bass line here is an amazing hook. And if you listen to how it's mixed, out of all the tracks in Zeppelin, in all the stuff that we listen to on this channel, listen to how forward the bass is and how the bass carries this song just as important as the vocals do. And also because it is a three-piece band, four including Plant. Obviously, the voice to me is the instrument, but since we're doing Zeppelin, don't need to kind of go in that direction. But his composition on the bass carrying this song through is it's another seductive lay-in of a composition. But in the mix, listen to how forward that is. At times it even feels that it's kind of a little out front, even in front of Plant. And then, of course, another thing is, this was an album, this is a recording we're listening to, there is layering. So you have Page, clean sound, dark, crunchy power rock sound. We're going to get into a little kind of a slide sound here. Obviously, he executed all that live and on stage, but in the world of the recording of the song, different tracks are going on. He puts down the acoustic, and then it's time to do the crunch, and it's time to do the solo, etc. Something else I want to bring up before we move on and just listen through the rest of this. This was the first 20 years, even before that, of stereo. We have been spoiled on this channel listening to Intense, and you hear me talking about the power of dynamics and engineering in stereo. Another thing I want you to hear when we go forward with this is listen to the reverb on Plant's voice. It's mono. It's not a big stereo sound. Now, I don't know my engineering history, and if any of you come through this, please, help me out with your comments, because I love to learn too. I don't know that there were any or many ways to record reverb in stereo in the 60s. I'm not too sure. I'm sure it was probably being played around with engineers like Val Valentin and stuff like that. But listen to that. It is just mono. And so that's just a unique, for me, that's a historical thing as I'm going through the engineering, because everything that we hear before this is like, oh man, hard left, right, digital delays that do this and that, and answer back. I can only imagine what kind of, fun the engineers would have had on that if they had today's technology. However, the snare, doesn't that sound stereo? Yeah. Why? It's because of the overhead mics on the drums. I'm only assuming, I wasn't there for the session, that's what it sounds like. Anyhow, so I just rambled on and given you something to listen to. Now let's just dig back into the song that I sprinkled in some of those elements for you, and let's listen to it all the way through. Let me go out a little bit and let's do this. All right.
And though our health we drank 1,000 times, it's time to ramble on. Years ago, in days of old, when magic filled the air, 'twas in the darkest depths of Mordor I met a girl so fair. But Gollum, at the evil wall, crept up and slipped away with her, yeah. Ain't nothing I can do now. I guess I'll keep on rambling. I'm gonna see myself. I gotta find my baby. I'm gonna ramble on, sing my song, gonna work my way around the world, baby. Ramble on, yeah.
You know, okay, so as we fade out here, you know, it's the fact that the engineer and the decision to have fun was made. And if you notice in this last 40 seconds, they started messing around with the panning. You know, the voice is going back and forth, and you know, it's going this way. Even the bass is also going back and forth. You know, you can hear it. Oh, yeah. You can hear the bass. You know, it's like someone's taking the pan pot and just going, mee, mee, which is fine. This is what, you know, this is what engineers were doing at the beginning. It's like, how can we have fun with what we have as we're moving forward with, you know, technology, new ways to do things. So that was really super cool. I really dug it. You know, Robert Plant's performance is Robert Plant. Absolute rock and roll vocal genius. Don't need to, you know, ramble on about that. Love the melodies, nice intervals in the melody. I want to go back to Jimmy Page again briefly before we fade out of this. You know, there were multiple layers that were there. You know, there was harmonies that was going on during the really smooth kind of melodic solo thing that he was putting on. That went hard left, right. So they used stereo by virtue of panning. And also the guitar was constant. Acoustic guitar through the whole song was constant on the right side. And then, but when this last verse came in before Ramble On, I really loved how Page articulated the chord changes on this side. He stepped up the, I would say, the note value of playing. One of the things that has happened through at least the discography of Zeppelin is there is these chords that Jimmy just liked to kind of dangle out there with these notes they're called suspended. Sometimes they're called seconds or fourths. Well, that's what they're called. It just depends which one you play. And it's nice because it adds a little bit of space to the chord sound. It gives you. Remember, I said this was kind of seductive. It was kind of an uplifting. You know, it's time to ramble on. So adding that in the playing really helped with that feeling. And then John Paul Jones. What does one say more than John Paul Jones? Mm-hmm. Anyhow, thanks for hanging out to my little series here. Why this song makes your face melt. Of course, much more to come. If you have any comments, suggestions, obviously drop them in. The links for the discography and everything is here. And if you're still here, type in "I'm still here." Sometimes I like to see how long people actually make it all the way through. And then, of course, if you'd like to buy me a cup of coffee, ta-da! Link is down there as well. Thank you guys very much for hanging out. I'm going to do another one today. I'm really doing this. I don't know. I don't know if YouTube likes it. I don't know if their algorithm likes it. I don't know. I'm doing what I'm doing. All right.